Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here one more time for StringTech, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We have another Antonio Say guitar with spectacular inlay all over the body. I'll show you the back in a minute, but we've got some problems again with this neck to body angle. Now because it is a Spanish heel, you can't remove the neck and reset it. It has to be taken out of the fingerboard and or the frets. To correct it, we need a bit of a balancing act between the fret we use and the amount of material that we take off the fingerboard. We've already lost some of this inlay up top, and the way we're heading, we're going to lose quite a bit more of it in order to get this guitar to the point where it's completely playable. I have installed that 14th fret and this 4th fret. I have illustrated many times in past videos that those are my pilot frets. It's the 13th fret and the 4th fret. Now when I slide that straight edge up to the bridge, you gotta remember, this is with the strings laying flat on the frets. There isn't enough room to raise that action for the strings to clear the frets. So we've got several different options here, and I'm going to cover them all with you, and these decisions will be made. This is the saddle that was in there. And even with that saddle that high, the strings still did not clear the frets. So I have decided to carefully remove that bridge, make a replacement bridge that is quite a bit thicker, and that will move us towards correcting this neck to body angle. I will continue to bring down this neck angle as much as we can, but we have to leave enough depth in the fingerboard to receive the frets. This bridge is definitely coming off, and I will build a replacement bridge that'll be a little bit thicker, and I will glue the bridge on as I always do before I cut the slot. We'll do the measurements and then we'll slot the bridge. In the spirit of saving this guitar from being an absolutely spectacular wall hanger to being a 100% playable, beautiful instrument. We did lose a lot of inlay up the top end, and I knew we would. But this is all in the spirit of making this an actual playable instrument. Something I'm doing here that I've never quite done this way before is this fret here is like a jumbo fret. This is a fairly tall fret, 51 thou high. This is a much lower fret. So I'm kind of building up the fingerboard with the fret crowns. I'll probably come up to about the 8th fret or so, and then I'm switching to a smaller fret for the rest of the way. You saw how high that straight edge was off the surface of the bridge, so I'm going to bring you back for another look. Now when I slip that straight edge up to the bridge, you can see that it's made a huge difference. I know we lost a pile of inlay to make this happen, but at least the guitar will be playable when we're done. Well, I'm pulling out all the stops on this fret job, so I wanted to bring you in before I go any further so I can kind of explain what I'm doing in our quest for a level fingerboard and a proper neck angle. I've used a combination of a smaller fret and a larger fret to further encourage the neck to body angle. I'm taking it out of the crown of the frets. This is the first of the smaller frets. I put a piece of Scotch tape across there. I've blended the height of the taller fret into the height of the smaller fret. Now the only exception to that is the last 2 frets where we still had a fair amount of fall off just because the neck had been set back so far. I put two larger frets in here. So ultimately when we're done, the straight edge from end to end will touch the first fret and the last fret and every fret in between. Luckily, this guitar has a two-way truss rod. So I have loaded and put negative pressure to bring this end of the neck up. Hope you're following all this. It's going to make a lot more sense as I get on the home stretch. And you'll see just how much correction we did get by this out there method. There's nothing else you could do. As I mentioned, this is a Spanish heel. You'd have to disassemble the whole guitar to change the neck angle. It had to come out of the fingerboard. We lost a whole pile of inlay here, and that's just part of the game. Even if you pulled the fingerboard off, there wasn't enough material underneath to sort of reduce this proverbial hump at the neck to body junction. Okay, so I'm going to continue with this now. I'm going to take my piece of Scotch tape off, and we'll start recrowning. These bigger frets here, I took quite a bit off, increasingly more towards the small fret. I taped off that first one, so I had the masking tape over this fret, and I had the Scotch tape over that fret. So I took increasingly more material off the larger frets to bring them down so that they would be level with these smaller frets. I have to admit, I've never actually done it this way before, but I'm very happy with the results, and I'll bring you in for a real close look when it's all done. So we're now on to recrowning. Got my trusty Hosco crowning files. Well, you can see the dry spots here, and at the beginning of the video, you'll remember me slipping a 2 thou feeler gauge under there, and all of this area here was sort of dry. Now, the bridge came off super clean. We are going to make a new bridge using this bridge as the model. So we're going to come back and clean this up in a second, but right now, I will go to my radius disc sander conversion kit for the drill press and then clean this up so I can use this as an accurate tracer plate to fabricate a new, thicker bridge. We have a much thicker piece of ebony that we're going to use to create this new replacement bridge. Now, of course, I put some masking tape onto the ebony because it's pretty difficult to see a pencil line on that black ebony. I'll mark that all the way around and then cut it just shy of the line. Now the front I won't mark because I've left that a little bigger than it needs to be. Okay, so next step, we kind of line this up and tape that into place, both sides. And along the back. across the front. Over to the drill press. I'm handling this very loosely because the drill bit is exactly the same diameter as the hole. So I want the bit to actually find its center. There we go. Now the two outside holes, I am through drilling. Not quite through yet. The four center holes, I'm just spotting them. I'm now cutting shy of the line. I am now marking the location of the ramps. Okay. Next, we're going to radius this foot back to the radius sander. So that is our perimeter, slightly oversized, that's what we want. So I'm back to the soundboard to clean up that footprint before I do my final fitting on this. We've got that 24-foot spherical radius on the base. Just the 2 outside holes were drilled through. The other holes were just spotted. I'll explain that a little bit further as we move along. So you can see we've got a little bit more on that perimeter all the way around. But again, before I do any more shaping on this new bridge, I'm going to clean up the footprint on the soundboard. A final look at our replacement bridge and compensated cantilevered bone bridge saddle. This is for 12 to 53 at concert pitch. Let's go have a lesson. You can hear all the sympathetic overtones. Middle strings. Top strings. So single line stuff, the bass response, treble response, mid-range. So this opening chord is A minor 9. And then with this F introduced, it's a F major 7, sharp 11. But all of those dissonances sound so beautiful on this guitar. There's all these overtones. I shift up chromatically 1 fret, changing from major triad to a minor triad. So that's F sharp minor. Still droning those top 2 strings. Shift up again chromatically to G major. Shift up again to G sharp minor. And then shift up again to a major triad. So we're starting on A minor, ending on A major. Then I make my way back down.